Hi, I'm Pam Tarbell. Some of you remember me as teaching art classes after school and during the summer for 10 years. And then I started the Millbrook Gallery and Sculpture Garden for 22 years. I have a degree in art education and have done a lot of painting and always consider myself probably more an artist than anything else. So now, as I'm older, I am back to painting full time, and the gallery is closed, but I have opened it up with my own paintings by appointment and special occasions. So one of the first paintings I did here is called Beach Grass, because I love the ocean, and I grew up in the water along Rhode Island coast and did lots of sailing. But this reminds me of the Cape or the Nantucket or someplace where the grass just blows. And the interesting thing about my artwork is that I love color and design, and it takes me a long time, and I layer it and layer it and layer it until I get the right combination. But also I like to listen to music when I paint. So there's a lot of motion in my paintings, and I like to just keep things sort of flowing. And my paintings are about color, and I think of them as vibrations of color, where music is vibrations of sound. And a lot of people don't realize the difference between all the different arts, because we're all under the umbrella of arts, but we all have different things and similar things in common, where we have compositions, we have repetitive motion. You think about dancing or ice skating, we talk about the lines. All of this is very important elements, and I incorporate them into my paintings. I'll move down to the next one. This is a diptych, which means they're two paintings together. It can be hung together, or it can be hung with a little bit of space between them. If you've ever been to my gallery, I have a lot of gardens, and now that I'm into the gardens, I have several different paintings I've done called In the Garden, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each one is very different from the other. I guess it depends on the mood of the day, and this one I overlapped a lot of different patterns and colors. This one is a marsh kaleidoscope. It's number 8. I have a series of 4 that are 5 by 3 feet. I don't have them hanging here, but I have 2 of the smaller ones that are half that size. And the idea is I love to walk through the wetlands, and it's a little bit harder as I get older. I'm not as agile as I used to be, but I stumble along, and I just love the idea of the growth, the patterns, the whole environment, and what it does for our ecological system, because the birds and the bees and the frogs and the snakes and all this other stuff, but it cleans the water and is part of our important environment. So I want to honor that, and this is what happened. I just kept going and going, and so there are layers and layers of colors and vegetations and patterns, which remind me of what happens when you in the marsh. There's just a lot of things going on. This is more of a typical New Hampshire landscape, but I thought it'd be fun to do. And the New Hampshire landscape of the mountains, and peaceful and restful and gentle. Most of my compositions get really complex, so once in a while I have to sit back and do a more simple variety that's not quite so complicated. Also with these, I live back in the woods and fields and trees, and I just wanted to do some quiet New Hampshire landscapes. Now these 2 paintings, it was years ago, I was going up to the Grand Canyon, and for hours on end it seemed like I saw poplar trees along the way. But because birches are more important than poplars in New Hampshire, it was just looking out the window, just seeing these trees go by, and then I added bronze and silver and some gold leaf leaves to it. So depending on the angle of the painting, you get different reflections of leaf patterns. I love lily pads. And I do some kayaking nearby, particularly on Turkey Pond near me. And I have a series of lily pads I have done over the years, many different ways, some oblong, some huge. This is very, very tiny little lily pads that come up. I've noticed about 5 or 6 different varieties. So I use them a lot. This I call New Hampshire Summer Landscape, which is just a colorful thing that reminds me of what we see all the time. Now these paintings have a little bit of a story. About, I guess, 3 winters ago, I went to Spain to visit a friend, and we were in Barcelona for a few days and then up to a small city called Olot up near the Pyrenees mountain. And there was such wonderful architecture, which is so different, as you know, from around here. So I started taking photographs of all the balconies and the tile work and the woodwork and the patterns in the windows. And then when I got home, I printed some out, but then I rearranged everything and I put different tiles up and different wood patterns up, and I just sort of kept adding things to the balconies. As you can see, I'm very interested in patterns and repetitious forms and movement. So this is what happened to this series. The exhibit is at the Hopkinton Library. I'm just thrilled to be exhibiting here. It's a wonderful space, and you're so lucky in Hopkinton to have this wonderful resource. I'm not sure how long the exhibit's going to be up, since we're all locked up right now and it's postponed, but hopefully when it opens, they'll still be here. And you can have Donna at the librarian ask her any questions or get in personal contact with me if you're interested in any of these, and we'll be able to hand deliver them to your front door.